Hi guys, this is gsmnob.com and I'm here with the unboxing of the Samsung Galaxy A52s 5G. It's sort of a successor for the Galaxy A52 5G, which was one of the most appealing high mid-range phones of 2021. So, not exactly a successor because the Galaxy A53 would be that, but rather an incremental upgrade that changes the CPU and some connectivity aspects. The phone remains largely the same in camera, display, design, materials and so forth. The price is pretty affordable, $400, even though in some regions it's closer to $300, believe it or not. It debuted back in the fall, around September time, and it got impressive offers and price reductions around Black Friday. So, the selling point is the fact you're getting a 120Hz screen, a quad camera with optical image stabilization for the main sensor. The front camera provides you with 4K video capture, which is something you don't see every day. And we also have stereo speakers, microSD, a charger in the box, and IP certification, among others. Okay, so let's get back to the actual box because it's an unboxing. Galaxy A52s 5G provides you with a cable from USB-C to USB-A, which hooks up to this charger with an USB-A connector. Sadly, it can only provide up to 15 watts of charging, even though the phone supports up to 25 watts. In some regions, the handset actually comes with such a charger. Here we have the key used to access the nano SIM and microSD card slots, and here we find the documents, and I'm talking about the quick start guide and warranty card. And that's everything available inside the box, no surprises here. And to be frank, the device also doesn't offer that many surprises. Okay, so as you probably figured out already, Samsung didn't make changes for the design. They kept the plastic body, so it's plastic for the back side, a matte one, not a glossy one, that draws some fingerprint as you can see and grease. The same camera design, not very protruding, which is nice to see. Plastic at the back, plastic on the side and glass at the front, luckily with some solid Gorilla Glass 5 protection. The bezels are quite big compared to what we expect nowadays, but at least they're pretty symmetrical. The punch hole is rather small here at the top side, and if you want measurements, this phone measures, let's see, 8.4 millimeters in thickness and weighs a decent 189 grams. Aside from this black hue, which is called Awesome Black, it comes in Awesome White, Awesome Purple and Awesome Mint. There's also a certification here, IP67, which means it's dust and waterproof. When it comes to waterproofing, it can take a dunk up to 1 meter in depth for 30 minutes. Now, I would have to say that the grip is quite solid here and the build is quite nice. There is a shiny frame here which may draw some prints. And now let's talk about the display. Now this panel you're seeing here is a pretty bright Super AMOLED. It's actually a 6.5-inch Super AMOLED with a Full HD Plus resolution, 120Hz refresh rate from the factory and Gorilla Glass 5 protection. It also embeds the fingerprint scanner, which you're going to see me demo right about now. It's pretty snappy, fast and accurate. Now inside is where the actual change happens, and I'm talking about the CPU. While the original Galaxy A52, the 4G one, had a MediaTek Dimensity processor, the Galaxy A52 5G switched to a Snapdragon 750. This one switches again to a Snapdragon 778G 5G. It's a 6nm octa-core processor. And at the same time, this processor was found by us on the Motorola H20, on the Honor 50, on the Huawei Nova 9, albeit in a 4G version, and finally on the Xiaomi 11 Lite 5G New Edition, or NE. We have here a version with 6 gigs of RAM, LPDDR4X, and 128 GB of storage, UFS 2.1, and also microSD. The battery stays the same as it was on the regular Galaxy A52 5G, 4,500 mAh and up to 25 watts of charging. Another good news is that you're getting stereo speakers, so the bottom one is combined with the top one, the one from the slit for the earpiece. They both are offering stereo acoustics here. And believe it or not, we even have an audio jack here next to the microphone and the USB-C 2.0 port. Now another change, the processor I mentioned above brings Wi-Fi 6 support, which the Galaxy A52 5G didn't have, so that's nice. Aside from Wi-Fi 6, we also have 5G connectivity. There's Bluetooth 5.0, there's GPS, there's GLONASS, Galileo, BDS, and QZSS when it comes to global positioning, and when it comes to payments, you're going to be using NFC. And the bottom port is once again USB-C 2.0. The front camera here, it's cut in a punch hole, is a 32 megapixel shooter. Its main attribute is shooting videos in 4K 30 frames. Now let's talk about the camera. So the front camera is a 32 megapixel shooter and its main attribute is shooting 4K video in 30 frames per second. And if you go to the back side, what we got here is a quad camera setup, which includes a main 64 megapixel shooter with its selling point, the optical image stabilization. f1.8 aperture and phase detection autofocus is also here. It's followed by the 12 megapixel ultrawide camera with 123 degrees. And the two smaller sensors are each 5 megapixels in size, one for macro, one for bokeh. This is the LED flash, and we also have 4K 30 frames per second video capture. Now let's check out the camera interface. If you go to the camera UI, it feels pretty familiar, and we have the scene optimizer here, keeping it smart and AI based. We have these switches between the levels of zoom, or better said, between the cameras. And we have the more section, which is rather generous for a mid-range phone. AR Doodle, Pro, Panorama, Food, Night Mode, Macro, Portrait, Pro Video with quite a few options, Super Slow-Mo, Regular Slow-Mo, and Hyperlapse. Okay, so if you go to the video section, I'm going to change the resolution. It's set to 4K 30 frames per second, can be set to Full HD 30 or 60 frames. We have the Super Steady option on, but only for Full HD. There is a single take mode, which creates basically a series of shots, photo and video, and uses the smarts of the AI to create, well, a better looking one, a more appealing one, which will gather likes. There's also the fun mode, which basically adds a variety of masks to you. They're taken straight from Snapchat, so there's that, and they should change every day, and they require a connection, internet connection, for them to function. Now, aside from that, on the software side, this is obviously Android 11, and it's got One UI 3.1 applied on top of it. It includes here the aggregator of news, and here we have the edge area with shortcuts. This is the multitasking going on like this. Let's see what else. We got our website here. Let's actually access it here, and you can also see the keyboard, which is pretty comfy and quite generous in size. Okay, now aside from that, you already saw the fingerprint scanner, the camera interface. You can get extra apps and themes from the Galaxy Store, aside from the Play Store. If you pinch the screen, you're going to be treated to widgets, which are typical for One UI, meaning they're transparent and pretty bare bones, pretty white. This is the drop-down section with notifications and quick settings, including some very useful ones, like for example link to Windows, screen recorder. Of course, dark mode is part of the package as well. And going into the settings, you're going to see that from the factory you get straight 120 Hz. If you want better battery, switch to a refresh rate of 60 Hz. And of course, a variety of other options for the screen, including always on display. And the clock style can also be chosen from here. Now, for productivity, we actually have a special folder with Microsoft apps, Office, OneDrive, LinkedIn, and Outlook. So there's that. Now, other pre-installed apps, we got Spotify for your music needs, we got YouTube Music here, we got Samsung Notes for note-taking, we got the Samsung Suite with SmartThings to control your smart home devices, we got your wearable features, AR Zone, Bixby, Samsung Health, and Facebook is also pre-installed, Game Launcher for the gamers, and I think that's about it. The other apps we installed on the handset. So we're going to be back with a full review pretty soon. So far so good. It's basically the Galaxy A52 5G with a new CPU and Wi-Fi 6. I'm looking forward to test the camera, although I can spoil this a bit for you. I've already tested the camera and it's rather solid, but with an unexpected result in the macro department. That's it from us. This has been the unboxing and first impressions for the Galaxy A52s 5G. It may be more future-proof and more gaming prone than the regular A52 without the S. That's it from us. Bye bye.